My best friend and business partner stabbed me in the back. He publicly accused me of fraud, stole the company we built together, and left me with nothing, discredited by everyone we knew. I was about to give up, to accept defeat. But an anonymous message from a woman claiming to be his secret wife changed everything. She didn't just give me the evidence to clear my name, she gave me the map to dismantle his empire of lies, piece by piece. Diogo and I were more than friends, we were brothers. We met in design school and had a common dream, to create an advertising agency that was different, that was honest and creative. And for 5 years, we succeeded. Essential Creative was our baby. We started in my parents' garage with 2 old computers and a lot of ambition. I was the creative one, the guy who spent sleepless nights searching for the perfect concept. Diogo was the businessman, the face of the company, with a charisma that could sell anything to anyone. We were the perfect duo, and our success was fast and intense. We won major clients, awards, and soon moved into a modern office downtown. I trusted him implicitly. Our finances were shared, our decisions joint. At least, that's what I thought. The change began subtly, about a year ago. Diogo started making decisions without consulting me. He hired a new financial manager, a guy named Xavier, without me even interviewing him. He started taking urgent business trips that I only found out about afterward. When I questioned him, he always had a ready excuse. Trust me, Mateus. I'm doing this for us, for our growth. The growth excuse was the answer for everything. He'd say I was the creative heart of the agency, but that I didn't understand the Shark Tank game. Focused on delivering the best work for our clients, I let it slide. I didn't want to believe that my best friend could be pushing me out on purpose. I started to feel like a stranger in my own company. The atmosphere in the office changed. The team, which was once like a family, now seemed divided, with whispers in the hallways. This Xavier, the new finance guy, treated me with a bureaucratic coldness, denying my budget requests and questioning my production expenses in a way that had never happened before. I tried to talk to Diogo about it, but he accused me of being too sensitive. You're seeing things, Mateus. Xavier is just being efficient. You're stressed, maybe you need a vacation. A vacation. While he was flying first class for meetings in Dubai, he was suggesting I take a vacation. The feeling that something was terribly wrong became a certainty. I started to investigate. I tried to access the company's accounts, but my administrator passwords had been revoked. Xavier informed me that, due to a new security policy, only he and Diogo would have full access. I was a founding partner being barred from the finances of my own company. The final confrontation was brutal. I cornered him in the conference room. Diogo, what is going on? Why am I being shut out of everything? He sighed, as if dealing with a stubborn child. And then, he dropped the bomb. Mateus, I'll be direct. The agency needs more aggressive leadership. You're a brilliant creative, but you don't have what it takes for the next level. Xavier and I are restructuring things. And the restructuring was clear, he was pushing me out. He offered me a paltry sum to buy my share, an amount that was an insult to everything we had built. I refused, shocked. And that's when the threat came. Think carefully, Mateus. It would be a shame if our clients and the press found out about the irregularities in your expense accounts, wouldn't it? I couldn't believe it. The same expenses Xavier had been questioning. It was a setup. They were creating a false narrative of fraud to force me out. I walked out of that meeting feeling the ground shake beneath me. My best friend, the brother I had chosen, wasn't just betraying me, he was prepared to destroy my reputation to take everything. In the following days, the Cold War turned hot. I hired a lawyer, but the situation was complicated. As a partner, I had rights, but Diogo controlled the flow of information. He and Xavier drowned me in bureaucracy, delaying the delivery of documents and making every step of the legal process difficult. The smear campaign began. Diogo started leaking information to industry blogs. Stories about how I was difficult to work with, creatively burnt out. He told clients I was going through personal problems, and that he was holding down the fort. He was painting me as a liability, a problem that he, the strong leader, was being forced to solve. I lost sleep, lost weight. The company I loved had become a battlefield where my own reputation was being torn apart. I was on the verge of giving in, of accepting his miserable offer just to end the torture. And that's when I received the message. It was late at night, a notification from a social network from a profile with no picture. The message was short: "I know what Diogo is doing to you. He did the same thing to me. If you want proof of who he really is, meet me tomorrow. He is not who you think he is." Signed, the wife he hides. Wife. Diogo wasn't married. He was the most famously confirmed bachelor in the city. I thought it was a prank, a trap. But desperation led me to the meeting point the next day, a discreet, out-of-the-way café. An elegant woman with tired eyes approached my table. "Mateus?" she asked. It was Sophia. She told me her story. She and Diogo had been married for 3 years. They married in secret because he had convinced her that a public marriage would hinder his image as a young entrepreneur, and that they would reveal everything when the time was right. She lived in an apartment he paid for in another city, waiting for a life that never came. She wasn't a grifter. She was another victim, isolated and manipulated by the promise of a future. "He told me the agency was going through difficulties," she explained, her voice choked with emotion. "He said you were the problem, that you were being irresponsible with the finances. I believed him. Until last week. She told me that, suspicious of his constant travels, she had hired a private investigator. And the investigator didn't just discover one affair. He discovered a double life. Diogo wasn't just deceiving me, he was deceiving everyone. The business trips were romantic getaways with other women. Even worse, the investigator found that Xavier, the financial manager, wasn't just an employee. He was Diogo's accomplice in a scheme to embezzle money from the company into offshore accounts, preparing to drain the agency and disappear, leaving behind a trail of debt and the blame, conveniently, in my name. Sophia handed me a copy of the investigator's report. Photos, bank statements, flight records. It was a complete dossier of his fraud. "He's not just pushing you out, Mateus," she said, her eyes filled with a cold fury. "He's planning to frame you and run. And I'm not going to let him do that." In that moment, I knew the game had changed. The revenge was no longer just about saving my share of the company. It was about exposing a criminal. The two of us, the two people Diogo had deceived the most, became unlikely allies. The plan we hatched was risky, but it was our only chance. Sophia, as his legal wife, had access to information I didn't. She managed to get copies of documents he kept in his secret apartment, including contracts and communications that proved the embezzlement scheme with Xavier. Meanwhile, I used my inside knowledge of the agency to track the projects and accounts to which the money was being diverted. We put together a case so solid it was bulletproof. The perfect opportunity for our move came a week later. Diogo had scheduled an emergency all-hands meeting. The purpose, I knew, was to officially announce my voluntary departure from the company and to consolidate his power. He wanted to humiliate me in front of everyone. And we decided to give him the stage he so desperately craved. I agreed to attend the meeting. When I arrived at the office, the atmosphere was heavy. My former colleagues could barely look me in the eye, some with pity, others with contempt, all of them believing the narrative Diogo had created. Diogo began the meeting with a rehearsed speech about difficult changes and new directions. He praised me with false sympathy, calling me an immense talent, but one who has decided to follow a new path. He was just about to announce my departure when the main office door swung open. And Sophia walked in. Diogo froze. His face went from a confident tan to a ghostly white. "Sophia? What are you doing here?" he stammered. "I came to join the family meeting, darling," she said, her voice as sweet as poison, as she walked towards him. "After all, I am your wife. Or did you forget to tell them?" The office erupted in murmurs. People looked from Diogo to Sophia, and to me, trying to understand the scene. "And since we're all here," I continued, standing up and walking to Sophia's side, "I think it's a great time to discuss the new direction the company is taking." It was then that I projected the first document from our dossier onto the main screen in the meeting room, their marriage certificate. Every jaw in the room dropped. But that was just the beginning. One by one, Sophia and I presented the evidence. The bank statements from the offshore accounts. The photos of him with other women on his business trips. The emails between him and Xavier, discussing how to transfer the funds and how to frame the fraud charges against me. We didn't accuse him. We just showed the facts, coldly and methodically. Diogo and Xavier were paralyzed, caught in their own trap, exposed in front of the entire team they had tried to deceive. At the end of the presentation, I turned to the team. This company was built on a dream of creativity and honesty. And that's what it's going to return to, I said. As of today, Diogo and Xavier are suspended from all their duties, pending a criminal investigation. What happened next was swift and decisive. Faced with the overwhelming evidence, the majority of the minority shareholders and key clients, whom I contacted right after the meeting, supported my takeover. Diogo and Xavier were forced to resign, and I, with the support of Sophia, who became a silent but powerful partner, took over as CEO. The police were notified, and a formal investigation for fraud and embezzlement was opened against the two of them. Diogo's empire of lies had crumbled in less than an hour. The agency went through a difficult restructuring period, but we survived. Honesty became our core value. I was transparent with the team and clients about what had happened, and the loyalty they showed in return was the greatest reward of all. We rebuilt Essential Creative, making it stronger and more ethical than ever before. Sophia and Diogo got divorced, of course. She, with the evidence she had, secured a fair settlement that allowed her to start her life over with the dignity he had tried to deny her. She decided not to get involved with the agency anymore, preferring to use her freedom to travel and rediscover herself. We became friends, united by a bizarre experience and a shared victory. As for Diogo, he and Xavier are facing serious criminal charges. They lost everything, the money, the reputation, the friends. The last I heard of him, he was trying to get back on his feet, but the stigma of the fraud followed him everywhere. My revenge, in the end, wasn't just about exposing his lies. It was about saving the dream he tried to kill. It was about proving that integrity, in the end, is a more valuable asset than any Swiss bank account. Looking back, the betrayal by my best friend was the most painful thing that has ever happened to me. But in a strange way, it was also the most liberating. It forced me to fight, to find my own strength, and to become the leader I never knew I could be. I didn't have to destroy my enemy, I just showed everyone who he really was. And in the silence that followed, the truth spoke louder than any of his lies.